Hi, this is V, and I'm here with Elena today. Like, we're still trying to work out how this whole recording thing works. So, yeah, if you hear anyone else making comments or asking questions, that will be her, even though our voices are actually really, really similar. Anyways, so I just finished reading a book called City of Dark Magic by Magnus Flyte. And actually, I think it was a pretty interesting story. So it basically starts with the main character is called Sarah, and she's a graduate student studying music, like with an emphasis on Beethoven. And she gets this invitation to go to Prague to help kind of research and like catalog a new collection of Beethoven's works that have turned out as part of the like art and historical artifacts collected by this really big family called like the Lofkowitz family. And as she gets this invitation, she also learns that her professor, who studies music and its interaction with the brain, and who had also been doing research in that same area, had committed suicide. But I guess for her, that's really strange because she thinks it doesn't fit his personality and like what he knows or what she knows about him. And she's kind of partly really interested in jumpstarting her career, but also really interested in finding out what actually happened, because I think she basically believes that someone may have orchestrated his death. So she ends up going to Prague and then getting caught up in a lot of really peculiar events, I guess, as she starts to look into some of these things that have been left behind by Beethoven and like the people in the Lofkowitz family that he worked with, and then, things that her teacher left behind. So it didn't actually turn out to be the kind of story I originally expected. So since it began with like this mysterious mass suicide in Venice, and, this whole idea of like, ancient music documents left behind, and, the title is about dark magic, I was expecting something really mysterious and unearthly, but it actually didn't turn out to be like that at all. I think part of it was because the main character is like a super down to earth kind of person, like the everything has a scientific reason, does not believe in God, like she's really unromantic, I guess. Like, I don't really think about the word romantic very often, but I think that's, really the best way to put it for her.
Wait, does that mean there's no magic?
No, there is magic. So, but magic in this story is mostly limited to alchemy. So, people study of things like the Philosopher's Stone, immortality, and in this case, like the way you affect people's perceptions with like different potions and stuff that you can use. So that does kind of come into play in the story. But it's not a super important part. Like, it also ended up being mixed in with like some political intrigue and like spy stuff and people like politicians trying to cover up past crimes. So it really wasn't mysterious. It was there was a lot happening, which was good, but if you're looking for something more supernatural and unearthly, then that's not it. But it was a fun read. Like, I like how, like I said, there was a lot happening and a lot of the characters were kind of quirky and kind of fun. Like, you've got all these different academic people invited to study this collection. So it's not just the music. There's like someone who studies weapons, who I think is really entertaining, and then like someone who does a lot of embroidery. Like, each like academic has their own little area, and you can tell that they're all pretty eccentric people. And I think that kind of makes it fun along with everything else that's happening. It was more that the tone of the story, it's hard to be mysterious when, there was this one scene where the taxi driver, like, turns out to also be a tour guide to famous murder scenes in Prague and gives them, like, a business card. Like, I thought it was really funny. It's just, not the kind of story I was expecting to hear, like, when I picked up the book. So one thing I did not like, though, was that there were a lot of, like, short but graphic sex scenes, basically, where like the main character just has these really casual flings with people she doesn't know, and sometimes where it happens between other people too, and it's really weird because it's not like a romance story where you have like characters who get to know each other and like each other and like, things happen. It was like really unpredictable sometimes, where it's just like, oh, they had dinner and then two people make out in the closet for some reason. that kind of threw me off. Like, it was a bit jarring, and I didn't personally like it. And I think it was mixed in with why I said she comes across like as a really, really unromantic person. Like, I think I could have done without those scenes. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty interesting story. And I probably will be reading the sequel.